Hi, welcome. I am Judy Dempsey, and I am the founder, the owner, the principal, the head of school of Summit-Questa Montessori School. We've been here for 30 years, and today I'm excited to have you here for our virtual tour, our first virtual tour ever. And what I'm going to start with is a tour of our campus as I walk through the campus to bring you to the different classrooms. I'll be talking about our philosophy and what makes Montessori so special, and I look forward to sharing that with you. So let's begin. I'd like to share with you how important the element of nature is in the Montessori philosophy. And one of the things that makes our school so unique are these 10 acres. 10 acres that literally filled with greenery and plants and animals and wildlife and all aspects of nature that are so important in our estimation in the well-rounded development of the child. That they are surrounded by trees, plants, flowers, animals, fish, turtles, reptiles. It goes on and on and on. We are so fortunate to have so many forms of life here, where the children actually spend their days surrounded by it and caring for nature. Every classroom has their own gardening section. Every classroom will have some form of pet to care for. They all understand and learn the importance of caring for nature, for caring for creatures, and many of them develop a deep love for nature. We are in our toddler classroom, which is a very special environment because these children are from the ages of 18 months through 3 years of age. And the Montessori environment is a very different type of experience for toddlers. As you see, they are exploring their environment individually, and they are capable of much more than what most adults believe they are capable of. And in Montessori, we allow them to explore. It is a time where they are really exploring their physical environment, and we're helping them to develop their language skills, which are absolutely coming to fruition at this time in their development. And you can see they're working independently, along with guidance by their Montessori trained teachers. We are now in an early childhood classroom. And early childhood classrooms consist of children between the ages of 3 and 6. And this is where Dr. Montessori began her work with this age group in particular. And what she discovered was that this is an amazing time for the development of their brains, like no other that will ever be repeated for the rest of their lives. We are in another 3 to 6 classroom, and as you can see, there's a multitude of lessons that the children work on throughout their day. One of the most impressive is our decimal system work that Dr. Montessori brilliantly designed in terms of allowing young children to understand the decimal system in a very concrete way. If you look around, they're all working on their own individually chosen lessons. And everything is concrete so that they can build their knowledge and build their understanding and build their concepts using their hands, which is what Dr. Montessori said was so important in the development of the brain at this time. Now, I'd also like to share with you an example of the self-discipline that children at this age are capable of. So I'm going to ask the leader today to ring the chime, and watch what happens. So, the children will immediately react to the chime and focus their attention on whomever is speaking. And at this time, I'm just going to thank them for their cooperation and helping me during this filming. So thank you, friends.
Hi, my name is Jane Finnegan, or Miss Jane. I've been at Summit-Questa Montessori School for 30 years. 30 years ago, I came and discovered the beauty of the Montessori education. I met Miss Judy, who is our principal and administrator, and her passion for learning and for respecting the child's ability to learn in this beautiful environment just has inspired me, and I have never left. It's one of the best investments that you can make in your child's future.
Ready now to go into a lower elementary classroom. And a lower elementary classroom consists of 6 to 9-year-old children, which typically would be first, second, and third grade mixture. You will notice that a lower elementary classroom in Montessori looks very different than a traditional classroom. You'll see that there are no assigned desks lined up in a row. There are workspaces. Children have table space to work at and floor space to work on. And obviously, during this pandemic, there have been a few changes, such as the shields on the tables to protect the children. But in general, the structure of the classroom remains the same, where the children are working individually with the Montessori materials. And here's a great example. If you see these colorful displays, that is actually a concrete representation of the periodic table of elements that, yes, they begin studying. As I mentioned before, Dr. Montessori was a scientist, and she created a magnificent science curriculum, starting as young as first grade, teaching the periodic table and many other things. And if you look around, you'll see that the shelves hold Montessori materials designed for the 6 to 9-year-old child, and they are used primarily for the majority of their work. We are now in a 6 to 9 elementary classroom. That's what we call lower elementary, and consists of children in the 3-year age range of 6 to 9, which is typically first, second, and third grade. I'm going to show you how we've also been able to successfully deal through the pandemic by helping some of our friends at home learn online with Montessori materials. And you see Miss Rosie right here actually using Montessori materials and giving the children lessons at home with those materials. As I walk through the classroom, you will see children engaged in all different types of activities, most of them very concrete. For example, these friends that are working with numerical blocks to understand the concepts of 10. So they will be building all of the different combinations of 10 with those number blocks. We also have many, many Montessori materials that Dr. Montessori created, such as the fraction insets and the fraction circles, where we see one of our students working with those fraction circles, which allows them to add, subtract, multiply, divide. Because it's so concrete, it's much, much easier to understand the concept of fractions, which the same thing, the same theory is applied to all math in the Montessori curriculum, just as you see in our classroom, where there are beads and charts and all kinds of materials that allow students to understand very abstract concepts in a concrete way. And we are now in our gymnasium. The gymnasium was built approximately 7 years ago, And it has brought such a wonderful element for the students. Not only are they able to have PE in such a great space, but we've also been fortunate enough to start sports teams. And the sports teams have been such a wonderful experience for our elementary and middle school students. And even though our Montessori philosophy doesn't put a great deal of emphasis on competition, our focus is on good sportsmanship and teamwork and learning how to support each other and do the best that we can be. And we have won quite a few championships because of that. So anyway, we have volleyball, basketball, soccer, track, cross country, swim, so many teams that we're proud of our students for participating in and really doing so well. And not only that, we've got a site for drama, for arts, for assemblies, and many other events that go on throughout the school year in this really great room. We're now in one of our upper elementary classrooms, which consists of students between the ages of 9 and 12. Now, we continue our same philosophy and structure in upper elementary using Montessori materials. You see here that these are actually, it's a division lesson. It's the test tube divisions that the material that they love to use for division. And we continue not only with the materials, but of course students at this age began working in abstract more than they did in lower L. And so, for example, here we are working, Miss Veronica's working on an online lesson for our friends at home, and she is actually doing a language lesson with them.
So you guys should all have by now written down what our imperative statements are, because we talked about declarative, those are regular statements. Interrogative or when we're asking questions, and imperatives is when we're giving direction.
As we continue through the upper elementary classroom, the space here, we have a laptop station for the students to use technology. We have the open areas where children can sit and work in comfort. We also see students working with both Montessori materials and technology. They have laptops as well at this age because it is the bridge to abstraction. The children are moving toward abstraction. They are able to do much more in that higher level of thinking, and that's what you see going on right here in one of our upper elementary classrooms. Students engaged, working on their individual work packets and the lessons that are being given both through materials and abstract. We are now in the middle school house, and so join me. We're going to enter one of the middle school classrooms, which, as you can see, has an element of fun. Now, this middle school Montessori program is the model from Houston, Texas, where the American Montessori Society has certified middle school training for teachers. I took that training over 22 years ago, and this model has been in place ever since. So as you can see, this is the Hogwarts room, which was the element of fun I spoke about earlier, but it does certainly lend a pleasant, comfortable aspect to the working environment. The students are working hard. The middle school Montessori program is one that's designed to not only have them excel academically, but with the other types of soft skills that are an important part of success, such as time management, goal setting, self-discipline, communication skills, all of the things that help them to succeed in the future that go beyond just academics. We are now in our pool area, and I'd like to introduce you to Coach Sean Barnhart, who is the Aquatics and Sports Director of our school, and he oversees all of the teams. So here's Coach Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean Barnhart. I'm the athletic director here at Summit-Questa Montessori School and also the swim coach. Summit-Questa was one of the initial schools that established our small school athletic league that we have with 8 schools in the area, where we participate in 12 sports throughout the calendar year. We also have a swimming program that swims in the middle school swimming league, where we swim with 14 other middle schools in the area in the fall and compete. So 4th grade through 8th grade get to swim to prepare them for high school athletics. Sports that we cover are basketball, football, soccer, volleyball, track and field, cross country, and I believe that's about it. So thank you for visiting us at the pool.
Good afternoon, my name is Mr. Austin. This is my 5th year as a guide here at Summit-Questa Montessori School. I received my Montessori certification through the Cincinnati Montessori Secondary Education Program, or CM-STEP, out of Ohio. And one of the things that I would like to focus on from that training is the prepared environment. And I think it's a really important aspect of secondary training. And I'm going to use my room to do it. So the way I have my room is I try to set it up almost like a museum, and I am the social studies teacher here. We call it Social World. And so if you will look around, starting with world history, I break it up by the continents. Well, we have the world map. We have artifacts from the African continent, along with a project from MMUN, that's Model United Nations, and onto the Asian continent, and the room is split. This is where I do my lessons, also prepared very specifically for me to run community and have my lessons. This is a solo time area, but then we're getting into American history here. These are all books and resource area. You can't see under here, but anthropology, sociology, geography, philosophy, all the different aspects of social studies, we have books. Continuing on with American history, so that the very first exhibit you have is the first Americans. So these are Native Americans, the First Nations people, and books and artifacts from them. And that's how we prepare the environment for our adolescents.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about the Montessori philosophy. Dr. Montessori was not an educator. She was a physician, she was an anthropologist, she was an environmentalist, and she was a lifelong learner. She ended up studying children because of her medical career. And so she ended up working with these children who were mentally challenged, and that's how she created this program. But she dedicated the rest of her life to creating this program for students who were not mentally challenged. She went that different route. But a few things that are different that you need to really be aware of. One is that this is an individualized approach where children choose independently what they are interested in, and they work with that along with being guided by the teachers who are specially trained. So it's not a situation where, oh, children just do whatever they want and never have to be responsible for anything else. That is not true at all. What drives the children is their inner passions and their inner curiosity, which is there in all children, and that's what makes this work, because Dr. Montessori said children need to explore. They need to use their hands. They need to do concrete types of experiences, not just abstract experiences out of books and workbooks. She wanted them building and experimenting and playing. So that's a very big difference in what Montessori does as compared to traditional. And as you have seen so far, it's also all about children being involved in the world, in nature, with each other, in problem solving, in peaceful communications, in learning how to get along with everyone else. Independence is a huge part of the Montessori experience. Starting from toddlers through middle school, we encourage the students to be independent. In fact, Dr. Montessori said, do not do anything for a child that they can do for themselves, because that is the secret. That's what builds self-confidence. That's what builds self-assurance, that children know and learn and discover that they can solve problems and explore the world on their own and not with someone telling them how to do it.
Hi, I'm Rowan, and I joined Montessori when I was in 3rd grade, so I've been here for 5 years now. and I think it's really helped with my education. So I transitioned from a public school to a Montessori school, and at first it was a little bit weird for me because we sat on floors and I was very confused, but I learned to adapt to it, and I think I really found my place here. I now can learn with hands-on learning, and it's really helped me.
So, hi, my name is Chloe Marie Christofides, and I've been at Summit-Questa for around 3 years now, and I think it's an amazing school because of how inclusive the work is and how amazing the environment is. I think it's just a fantastic school. You're gonna have a great time.
Hi, my name is Eliana Gonzalez, and this is my 6th year at Summit-Questa. I think Summit-Questa is very fantastic because it's very welcoming, and we do a lot of projects that include working together, which builds bonds with students that we will possibly keep for the rest of our lives.
Hi, I'm Miss Daniela. I teach the Kinder program here at Summit-Questa. This is my 4th year. Right now, what we are doing is we are working on designing solutions for declining bee populations. So the students have designed, and now they are trying to create their very own bee hotels and pollinator gardens and beehives.
Hi, I'm Tabitha, and I'm an administrator here at Summit-Questa Montessori School. I've been blessed to be Miss Judy's assistant for the last 3 years. I have 4 children who attended public school. I loved the Montessori philosophy so much that I brought my own child here, and he's been a member of our community now for 3 years. It's an absolute blessing. He is a true Montessorian, and I know in my heart I made the best choice I ever could have made.
Let me share with you some of the most commonly asked questions when people come on tours, especially by people who are not very familiar with the Montessori philosophy. Probably the most asked question is, what is the difference between Montessori and traditional education? And there are many differences. One is that Dr. Montessori told us that the best way to mix ages is to do it developmentally. And so she recommended that children be mixed in 3-year age groupings. So for example, in early childhood, the children in that classroom would range from 3 years of age through 6 years of age. And then the next level up, which we call lower elementary, would be a range of 3 years, 6 to 9 years of age, and that is typically 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then so on and so forth into upper and middle school. So families have asked me, well, we can see the benefits for the younger child, with the 3-year-old in a classroom, learning from the older students, but how does that benefit my 5-year-old? And actually, there are so many studies out there now that indicate the 5-year-old actually benefits more than the 3-year-old. And why is that? Because that 5-year-old is in a position of leadership. That 5-year-old is teaching the younger students, role modeling. The younger students look up to that 5-year-old as a leader, and they love that position. So when parents say, won't my 5-year-old regress to 3-year-old behavior? I say, absolutely not. First of all, children don't want to behave like babies. They want to be looked at as the oldest in the community, and they've earned it. So when the child goes through the 3-year cycle, they really are proud of their position in the classroom. And that's why the 3 years is so important. Dr. Montessori likened it to a garden where the first year, the seeds are planted, the second year, the garden's being nurtured, and the 3rd year, the child blossoms. And I can tell you from 40 plus years of watching that occur, it is absolutely true. So that's a really big difference, is the 3-year age mixture. Also, the materials, the concrete materials, they have to be part of the Montessori classroom, or it's not an authentic Montessori experience. Young children young elementary children learn best because the brain will process the information differently. So the materials, the 3-year age mixture, and the teachers must be trained very differently for a Montessori classroom than for a traditional classroom. And that's why the Montessori classrooms are very different from traditional settings. And one more point I will make is that the thing that makes us very different is the peace curriculum that we live every day, that Dr. Montessori's goal was to create a more peaceful setting in classrooms and the world. So children learn how to get along and interact and problem solve peacefully. So those are some of the most commonly asked questions about the philosophy, and I hope that helps you.